Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:41 a.m. on this Mubarak day. It is the month of Rabiul Awwal, alhamdulillah, and of course it is also Wednesday, the 18th of September, well and truly in the month of spring. And we here in Johannesburg were blessed with showers overnight. So shukr alhamdulillah for that as well. I did mention it is the Mubarak month of Rabiul Awwal. The 12th of Rabiul Awwal was, of course, the day of the birth of the greatest man who walked on earth. And that, of course, is none other than our beloved Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We do know that he enjoys the highest of stages in Jannah. And, of course, let us all aspire to meet him in Jannah, inshallah. Moving along then, we're going to be talking about back to reality, and the reality is not great for a lot of communities around South Africa, particularly the community of Hanover Park. And we will be talking now with Yaseen Johaar, Hanover Park Community Policing Forum Secretary. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome to the program. And I'm really sorry to hear about the situation in your part of the world.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to yourself and to all the listeners and viewers tuned in here this morning.
So you are the secretary of the Policing Forum, and you're here to talk to us about something very, very worrying to the people of Hanover Park. And I guess it's not only Hanover Park; it's areas dotted in and around the Western Cape, and we're having similar problems in townships in the Greater Gauteng area, and KZN too have similar problems. But let's focus on Hanover Park for now.
Yes, just yesterday I heard some reports of saying that the shot spotter technology has indicated that the shootings that happened in Western Cape, I think that it was said to be, and I speak under correction, 37% of it coming from Hanover Park. So it leaves us with being on the grounds, residing in the community. We experience that, shootings daily. We experience murders, we experience our loved ones being caught in crossfires and being injured. So it's really, a community as if they are they're imprisoned within their own communities and within their own homes, and it isn't a particular time of day that you can say, okay, we're preparing for it. It happens randomly. It happens early morning hours. It happens in the evenings. So it's really a difficult situation that we find ourselves in as a community.
Yaseen, obviously, we talk about Hanover Park, and we do know it's not the first time this is being discussed, with the media. We've had several discussions in the past about it as well, and mainstream media too highlight the situation on a continuous basis. What seems to be the problem? Obviously, gangsterism and drugs being the main contributor to all of the drama and all of the heartbreak and sadness in Hanover Park. You as CPF, I'm more than certain know who the kingpins are. How come they haven't been taken out? How come they haven't been arrested? Serve long sentences, so you send out a very strong message to other petty criminals and gangsters.
I think, yes, the issues currently is gang violence and drugs, and also coupled with that, and maybe it's not highlighted enough, but gender-based violence is just as rife, within our community and within Western Cape. However, I believe that when we're looking at gang violence and the drug situation within the Western Cape, its solutions, if we're focusing on it, we can't just look at that as the main issue, and say this is the issue. We need to now apprehend these criminals. And the analogy I want to use is that if you're going to look at it like that, it's as if you're just going to plaster a wound, but you're not going to look at the reasons why that wound was created in the first place. And so you can, and at the latest I seen that the response from the Department of Community Policing and Safety Oversight is that they're now going to double up boots on the ground with regards to law enforcement. I still don't believe that that is the solution, and I'm sure there's many out there. You know, Western Cape is very unique, in the sense of uh, there's many crime fighters with years and years of experience. You know, from up in the back in the day in the apartheid years, and still doing amazing work across the Western Cape. You know, so that is the first point. The second point is that you're still having the issues of the social ills within the community. You know, you can double up policing, you can get the best of technology, but the circumstances within our struggling communities is that unemployment is rife, uh, uh, teenage pregnancies is high, teenage dropouts is high, and if you're not going to address that, you're always going to have a mechanism that is feeding gang violence, that is feeding criminals, you know, or people to become criminals. Then to say,
Okay, you highlighted GBV, and we know that GBV and femicide is huge in our country. But we do know that 90% or 99.9% of GBV issues are directly related to drugs, because the youth that are involved in drugs, obviously using mind altering substances, they can't make the correct choices and decisions about their situations. And of course, this then leads to GBV because they're unreasonable. You can't you can't resolve conflict, in a sit down situation with them, because their state of minds are altered to such a degree that they're not reasonable at all. And so that is a huge part. Drugs, the issue of drug abuse, substance abuse needs to be addressed in a very big way. But again, I hear you that if you don't create opportunities for young people for education and employment, they are definitely going to gravitate towards gangsterism, joining gangs, and getting involved in substance abuse, peddling, and everything else that goes with it.
absolutely. And just to add to that, there's also that it's the driving force is also alcohol. You know, very rife. You know, very easy, accessible. So it's coupled with the drugs. We have a high velocity of illegal shebeens and alcohol outlets within the communities, and that is just adding up to the situation. But like I say, we what I believe also, there's some form of, and I'm always saying it, that there isn't really a political will in order to curb to abolish gangsterism within the Western Cape. Um, and somehow there is this agenda coming with it. Yes, we will do it, but in order for us to do that, we need XYZ first. And what we don't realize, as each day goes by, we're having people dying on the streets like flies. For the last week, we had daily shootings. We had two murders last week as well, and several attempted murders. So again, if we're not going to address it, and I also believe personally that uh, those individuals that has taken the responsibility to assist us and be public servants are claiming to be having the solutions, but I also believe that they're also part of the problem. So you can't be creating the problem and then saying that you're finding the solutions thereof. What I also, and I don't want to be negative in this regard, but this situation is going to continue itself. If more boots on the ground is being implemented and these technologies introduced into communities like Hanover Park, but crime is still on the increase, or gang violence is still rife and active, then it's just a late claim to say that the situation or the strategy isn't working. And so we believe that in order to find a solution, you need to involve those veteran crime fighters, you need to bring community around the table and not make a decision and create those, because at the end of the day, these technologies cost billions. And if there's a situation around teenage dropouts and unemployment and people in our community specifically that is very hungry, so how can you spend billions on that? But there isn't, we have now to have now a program, for youth. Then we need to scratch in our own pockets. We need to see how we can find a funding, or how we can feed these people. But when it comes to these technologies that is not working in our communities, then there's billions to spend. So it's really tough. And to add to that,
Okay.
I want to also say that, and I don't want to be negative, but I also want to say that for the next 4 years, if you're looking at our youngsters from 9 years old, 10 years old, we are already busy losing them because there isn't really any mechanisms in place to guide them and to let them succeed in life.
Okay, you talk about technologies. What are you referring to? Number one. Number two, why don't you, as CPF, get the community involved to target those 9 and 10-year-olds from now? Because in 4 years' time, you might lose them. So from now, get them vigorously involved in sport and such activities so that you don't lose them. What about government? You're saying they're not hearing you. Hold your councillors responsible, because if nothing is addressed now, definitely in 4 years' time, you're going to have the situation's going to be out of control.
No, indeed, and I agree absolutely. You are spot on there. The issue is accountability is also another issue that we're facing with, because when it comes to these public servants, and I don't want to point fingers, Marv, but when it comes to even keeping these individuals accountable, the red tape around that, we're not saying that there's some hatred, but we're saying that if you are responsible for certain aspects, and then surely you need to take accountability for that. So yes, there has been many attempts to keep those individuals accountable, and I can give you a whole list, but it's all falling on deaf ears. And again, yes, these programs, there is the willingness of the youth, but then again, all those millions is invested into the wrong things. When I speak about the technology, then I speak about, if you're looking at Hanover Park specifically, you're looking at the shot spotter acoustic technology, a mic system that detects gunshots being fired. That is like a rented technology and from overseas, and despite it costing 20 million over, I think, a 3 or 4 year period, the current situation has not changed. And then on top of that, you have this aeroplane buzzing around over our heads, another couple of million eye in the sky. And then Hanover Park also have CCTV cameras coupled with 60 leap officers. So you're having all this, and despite that, you're still having crime either increase or consistent, for the entire year. So what we are
Okay.
saying is, what you are saying,
Okay.
invest in, take those millions and invest it into the root cause of crime.
Absolutely, I agree with him. That's exactly what I was going to say. I hear you now when you talk about the monies being spent on technology and it's just not giving you the results. And yes, you make a very, very good point by suggesting that take all of those millions, maybe above 100 millions or not, or more, create employment, create education hubs, create sporting hubs, and in and you'll get results almost immediately. So having the knowledge that you have and what you've shared with us on radio right now, how are you going to go with this very valuable information forward? Whom are you going to approach, you and your team, and how are you going to make this happen?
Well, we are, the Community Policing Forum is a voluntary, you volunteer to serve on it, and there's a lot of work being done. And at the end of the day, we only representing a mouthpiece for the community with law enforcement agencies, as a partner. So we can only raise the plight and these issues around the table and giving the opportunity to do so. We are currently, we are busy. We sit with the various departments on a monthly basis, and connecting them, closer to the community. But again, there's a lot more, and a lot more that needs to be done. Because again, I'm saying, when it comes to intervention, then there's shortage of funds. There's budget cuts. But when it comes to the technologies that is proven to not that is not working, then there's a big budget for that. So I hope that this plight falls on the ears of those decision makers. At the end of the day, in the beginning, I mentioned to you that there isn't a political will, but also, if you are a investor into these technologies now, and you have shares within this space, then obviously your agenda would be trying to get the shot spotter, whether it's working or not, across the Western Cape and across the world, in order to profit thereof. So it's a really a sad state of affairs that we in. And if one wants to go deep as well, you would and you do some research on these investors, and you find that they also linked with other wars and atrocities happening across the world.
So you've shared some very invaluable, rather very valuable information this morning. You guys know what all the ills of Hanover Park is. You know what needs to be done for Hanover Park. Collate all of your information and go on a protest, ongoing protest with placards, etc., to and address it to top government officials, including the new Minister of Police, and highlight and tell them about the wasted technology, money on wasted technology. The money needs to be invested in the future of the children, in education, in sport, etc., etc. So you guys have got the answers. You just need to get your this very strong message to the right ears. So do what you have to do. Protest, placards. Don't stop with it. Go and camp on the doorsteps of Parliament. Make yourselves heard. And I think all of Cape Town in South Africa will be behind you. You are on the right track. Just think of innovative ways of making your voice heard. And I pray that inshallah Allah guides and help you guys through this. We want peace and harmony, not only in Hanover Park, but all around the country and the world. Shukran for talking to us. Keep up the flag flying as high as you can. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Shukran for the opportunity. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Yaseen Johaar, Hanover Park Community Policing Forum Secretary. They know exactly what's going down in the community. They know exactly what would and would not work, and they need to get these very strong messages to government, to the Commissioner of Police, to the Minister of Police, and to all the big role players to really get things going in Hanover Park and other areas around South Africa, which is riddled with crime and gangsterism. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I would like to remind you that, alhamdulillah, this hour of news and views on Salam Media is sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities over 35 years in Africa and beyond.